Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head for hours, wondering if you sounded stupid or hesitated to speak because you imagined people judging you? That constant awareness of others' opinions can feel exhausting, but it isn't a flaw, it's human biology. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging. Being accepted by your group meant safety and cooperation. Being rejected meant isolation and danger. So the brain evolved systems to monitor approval. Your mind constantly scans. Do they like me? Did I say something wrong? How am I perceived? Society changed, but the brain didn't. Today, someone's opinion rarely affects survival, yet your nervous system still reacts as if it does. That's why embarrassment feels intense, criticism lingers, and judgment can feel almost painful. To your biology, exclusion still signals threat. This becomes a problem when the system goes into overdrive. Instead of occasional awareness, you develop constant self-monitoring. You replay interactions, analyze reactions, imagine criticism. Attention turns outward. Instead of, "What do I think?" you ask, "What will they think?" And that shift quietly reshapes behavior. You soften opinions, avoid disagreement, over-explain, apologize, hide parts of yourself. Not from weakness, but because your brain prioritizes approval over authenticity. Comparison amplifies it. Humans naturally compare status, but modern life exposes you to endless highlights. You see confidence without insecurity, success without struggle. Your brain compares your full reality to their edited moments and concludes you fall short. The more inadequate you feel, the more you monitor opinions, and the more you monitor, the more pressure you feel to perform socially. Uncertainty also drives it. The brain hates not knowing how you're perceived, so it predicts reactions. Did that sound weird? Do they respect me? Did I look awkward? This simulation is meant to prevent mistakes, but traps you in overthinking. You start managing impressions instead of expressing yourself. Life becomes performance rather than experience. Early experiences shape sensitivity too. If approval was conditional or inconsistent, the brain learns acceptance must be earned. You become hyper-aware of evaluation because it once determined emotional safety. Even later, that pattern persists. You don't just want to be yourself, you want to be the version that gets approval. That gap creates tension. Ironically, the more you try to control perception, the more anxious you feel. Because perception isn't controllable. Everyone sees you through their own biases. Managing all judgments is impossible, but the brain keeps trying. There's no point where everyone approves. There's also the spotlight effect. Humans overestimate how much others notice them. In reality, most people are absorbed in their own worries and impressions. They aren't analyzing you nearly as much as you imagine, but your brain centers you socially, so judgment feels magnified. Caring deeply about opinions also links to identity uncertainty. When you're not fully sure who you are, feedback becomes a guide. Approval feels like confirmation. Disapproval feels like threat. The clearer your self-concept, the less external evaluation defines you. Caring what people think isn't entirely negative. Social awareness enables empathy and connection. The goal isn't to stop caring, it's balance. Awareness without dependence. The shift begins when you recognize that thoughts about others' opinions are predictions, not facts. Your brain imagines judgment constantly, but imagination isn't reality. You can feel judged without being judged. Another shift is moving attention inward again. Instead of, "How am I seen?" you ask, "What do I value? What feels true?" You still consider others, but don't abandon yourself. Self-trust changes everything. When you trust your intentions and character, criticism feels less threatening. Someone's opinion becomes information, not identity, and the brain monitors less. You also realize something freeing. Opinions are unstable. The same trait that attracts one person repels another. Approval changes with context and mood. Building identity on it creates instability. Building it on values creates stability. Caring what people think feels heavy because the brain treats evaluation as survival. But in modern life, authenticity rarely threatens safety. Expressing yourself usually costs far less than your nervous system predicts. The fear is ancient, the risk is modern. And each time you act despite imagined judgment, your brain updates. I can be myself and still be safe. That evidence reduces hypersensitivity to opinions. You may always care somewhat, that's human, but you don't have to be controlled by it. When your inner voice matters slightly more than imagined voices around you, social fear loses power. And that's when caring what people think stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like perspective.